Alright, hey guys, I want to talk to you about some very important theorems and properties about parallel lines we're going to see in geometry. And these same properties and theorems and postulates are posted on posters, and I just want you guys to know you can always have fun in geometry. So remember these letters, F-U-N, fun, and they have to do with remembering which of these postulates go with what. So we already defined corresponding angles when we went over our vocabulary. So what I want to talk about is the corresponding angles postulate. And this says if a transversal intersects two parallel lines. So if you notice, we have two parallel lines in the picture, and this line here is our transversal. It says then corresponding angles are congruent. So I'm going to abbreviate it like this and say if we have parallel lines, that's our P part, then here's our conclusion, corresponding angles are congruent. So we have to have parallel lines. Now to show parallel lines, we take and make arrows on the lines. And anytime you see two arrows, that means the lines are parallel. So what I have here is I have two parallel lines cut by transversal. And if I have parallel lines, and according to this postulate, corresponding angles are congruent. Now don't forget, corresponding angles are the angles that are matched up. So I'm going to choose this angle right here, angle 1 and angle 2, because these are corresponding angles, and according to the theorem, these angles are congruent. So this angle and this angle are congruent. So I'm going to write then angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So I want you to see something, however, that has to do with colors. And this is what's really interesting, is if you can think about this letter, the letter F. So I'm going to make, this is my transversal, and I'm going to make this line and this line. You can clearly see we have the letter F. So let me redo that again, okay? If you take the angle 1, which is right here, and you take the angle 2, which is right here, and you connect it with the transversal, you definitely form the letter letter F. So the letter F represents the corresponding angles postulate. Okay, the next one. Clear my ink. The alternate interior and exterior angles theorem. Okay, we're going to work on the interior angles. And this is an interesting thing. I want to show you two pictures, but here's what the alternate interior angle theorem says. If a transversal intersects two parallel lines, so once again, we're going to have two parallel lines. So I'm going to put my arrows on. And we're going to have a transversal. Here's my transversal T, intersecting two parallel lines. So if we have parallel lines that's cut by a transversal, then it says alternate interior angles are congruent. Then alternate interior angles are congruent. And actually, the alternate exterior angles are congruent as well. Interior and exterior angles. We have to remember what these alternate interior angles are. So let's remember alternate interior angles. They have to be in the interior of interior. So don't forget, interior means inside, in between these lines. So let me show you the interior angles. Alternate means one's on top, one's on the bottom, one's on the right, one's on the left. So I'm going to pick angle 1 and angle 2 again. And I just want to show you something. If I highlight angle 1 and then I highlight angle 2, I form a letter. And the letter I form is the letter Z. So when you form a letter Z, which if you rotate the letter Z, you get the letter N. So the letter Z, or if you take and rotate this letter right here, if I can rotate this letter Z, I get this letter. So anytime you form a letter Z or a letter N, you get alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. So look for the Z or the N. If you rotate the Z 90 degrees, you'll get the letter N. Okay, so I'm going to call this N for alternate interior. And there's one last set. So by the way, this tells you then angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. That's our conclusion. These angles have to be equal. All right, one last theorem. Let me clear my ink. Same side interior and exterior angles. Okay, let me highlight the insides. Okay, same side interior and exterior angles. Let's talk about the same side interior. They have to be inside, so the yellow area, same side of the transversal. So I'm going to pick this angle 1 and this angle 2. These are my angles that are on the same side. Now let's take a look what happens when I highlight angle 1, then I highlight angle 2, and I connect them with the transversal. I form the letter C, or if you rotate the C, it's the letter U. All right? Here's what the theorem says. It says if a transversal intersects two parallel lines, so once again I have parallel lines, and I have a transversal intersecting two parallel lines. So if I have parallel lines, that's the conditional. Here's the conclusion. Then same side interior angles are supplementary. Then same side interior angles are supplementary. Now, don't forget, supplementary means two angles that add up to equal 180. So I'm going to make a little side note. Supplementary means two angles that add to equal 180 degrees. Don't forget this. This is important. That supplementary means two angles that add to equal 180 degrees. So these are not equal angles. 1 and 2 are not equal. So 1 and 2 are supplementary. So then angle 1 is supplementary to angle 2. Or angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180 degrees, according to this theorem. Now, the reason why I wanted you to see these letters is because we had the letter F for corresponding angles, the letter Z or rotated N for the alternate interior angles, and the letter C or U for same side interior angles. And I rotated them on the posters at front to spell the word fun. If you can find these letters fun, F, U, and N, you're going to be able to find these angles. All right, let's apply it to some problems. I'm going to clear this ink. We're going to apply it to some examples. Use the diagram above. Identify which angle forms a pair of same side interior angles with angle 1. Okay, we're going to do this one first. Okay. Identify which angle forms a pair of same side interior angles with angle 1. So I'm going to find angle 1, and I'm going to highlight it. Okay. Now, what I notice is I have one transversal. The transversal is labeled with the letter T, and I see the two lines P and Q that it's intersecting. And so same side interior. I'm going to first find the interior of my angles. This is the interior. Let me make sure I have my me try that again, a little bit smaller. All right, it's a little better. Okay, here's the interior. So it has to be the same side of the transversal, same side. So this obviously is my transversal right here. Same side in the inside, so I'm going to highlight it. There's my letter U. I can see it's angle 8. So it says which angle forms a pair of same side interior angles with angle 1. So angle 1 and angle 8 are same side interior angles. All right, let's answer question 2. Identify which angle forms a pair of corresponding angles with angle 1. Corresponding means matched up, same position. So again, I'm going to highlight angle 1, and I want to note its position. It is above the transversal to the right of the line. So I need above the transversal to the right of the line. All right, here's my other line. I have to go to the right of it, above the transversal. I connect. There indeed is my letter F. It is tipped upside down, but it is an F. And I can see angle 5 is the angle that corresponds. So angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. Okay, I'm done with this problem. Okay, let's move on to the second example. Clear my ink. In the diagram above, L is parallel to M. Now make sure you understand this symbol. Line L, is parallel to line M. That means this line and this line are parallel lines. And I can clearly see I have a transversal crossing those two parallel lines. Here's my transversal. So I'm going to find, it says find the measure of angle 1, then the measure of angle 2. All right, here's the angle I'm given. And here's angle 1. I mark them, and there is a line that connects them. It's a transversal. And I ask myself, what letter did I just form? Well, the letter I just formed is the letter F. It's a letter F shape, and a letter F shape is corresponding angles. And the postulate says if I have parallel lines, which I do, then corresponding angles are congruent. So this 42 and this 1 have to be congruent. So the measure of angle 1 is equal to 42 degrees. Now, the second thing I have is I have a linear pair. Anytime you can make a protractor shape with a straight line, you know those two angles have to add up to equal 180. So I know angle 2 plus angle 1 have to equal 180 degrees. But angle 1 is 42. So I'm going to substitute that in, and I can solve for angle 2 by subtracting 42. Angle 2 is equal to 180 take away 42 is equal to 138 degrees. So I have my two answers. All right, next example. I'm going to clear my ink. Last example in here. The directions say in the diagram above, L is parallel to N, and this time they have the arrows. Find the values of A, B, and C. And you do not have to find them in order. Okay, A, B, and C. So we're going to start with A. First thing I notice right away with A is I have this letter Z shape. The letter Z shape says I'm dealing with alternate interior angles. And if the lines are parallel, which they are, then alternate interior angles are congruent. So without doing any work, I can clearly see these angles, A and 65, are the same. So A must be 65 degrees. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing with letter C. Same thing with letter C. So I'm going to do this. Once again, I have a letter Z or N shape. These are again alternate interior angles. If the lines are parallel, alternate interior angles are congruent. So C, I know, is equal to 40 degrees. The last one, however, is very little trickier. Letter B. How in the world are we going to find letter B? Well, here's again the shape of my protractor. all these angles have to add up to 180. A plus B plus C must equal 180 degrees. A is 65. B I don't know. C is 40. They have to equal 180 degrees. 65 plus 40 is equal to 105. Subtracting 105 from 180. B is equal to 75. And I have all three of my angles. This is how you guys are going to do your homework. Homework for this section is page 131, numbers 1 through 8 and 11 through 16. Have fun, you guys, and we'll correct them next day. Bye.